Unbelievable. You're on the John Fredericks Media Network and the John Fredericks Radio app. Don't forget, go to our new YouTube page. Actually, it's the old YouTube page. It was new. Now it's old. It was the original. So you want to do that. Really cool. Just go to YouTube and put in John Fredericks Media. Our original YouTube page comes up and you are good to go and rocking and rolling. So thank you. And we want you to subscribe there. And that will be very, very helpful. Just go to YouTube and put in John Fredericks Media. It comes right up and you can subscribe there. We got State Senator Gary Byrne coming up. In the meantime, St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter said the vast majority of Somalian Americans are U.S. citizens. Really? Okay. Trump doesn't want America. He doesn't want Americans in America. Meantime, the Somalis have taken over a portion of the state of Minnesota. Hey, by the way, Mike Lindell just filed to run for governor. That's going to be fun. Should we take the bus there? Is it colder than here? Probably. Okay, this is from St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter. This stuff is unbelievable. Run this, and then we're going to be back. State Senator Gary Byrne live on the Trump bus. Stay with us.
Well, I mentioned the words of President Trump. We heard your response, but I want to bring people back to the White House for some offhand remarks that he made the other day. Yeah. And it's not the first time that we've heard him attack Somali migrants, to begin with, including Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from Somalia. Listen to President Trump and the way that he framed this community.
We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
Boy, Mr. Mayor, you know, I'm sure I'll get a lot of tweets about this, but I'm just trying to figure out how we're having this kind of language in the public square in 2025. What role do Somalian migrants bring to your community? Tell us what we should know about them.
Well, first of all, we know that we have a president who holds on to his space at the center of the public square just by coming up with the most despicable thing he can possibly say and say it out loud, and to try to make sure that everybody's arguing over what he said. That's disgusting. Second of all, as he talks about Somali Americans, their country is America. They are Somali Americans, and that's one of the challenges that they're going to have, is that they're going to find that the vast majority of Somali Americans
our country.
It's pretty shocking to hear it, although I don't know how shocked you are at this point anymore. But Somali immigrants, in general, you in particular, have been the target of his attacks for a long time. What's your response?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked, because we know that the president oftentimes resorts to very bigoted, xenophobic.
This is the lady that married her brother, right, in order to get into the United States and be a citizen, now representing us in Congress. And basically, there's tens of thousands of these temporary visas that have expired. They're still there. And then they stole the Somalian, whatever you want to call it, gangster underground, basically stole over $1 billion of our tax money. But all that's fine, because as long as they vote for their left-wing communist mayors and congressmen, that's fine, because they figured out they all move into an area, then they can control the votes, they control the mayor. They elected a sheriff who said Somalia first. My first job is to protect Somalians. So if you're not a Somalian and you're within my sheriff district, you're at the bottom of the list. So you're going to have a separate 911 number. I don't know what they're doing there, but that's just reality. Okay, good to have you with us. Hey, don't forget our good friend Julio Gonzalez. He was on the other day. Don't forget, don't file your taxes until you run it by Julio's team. Taxes, 2 million pages. God knows how much they're going to be able to save you. All you got to do is text ETS, Engineered Tax Services, just 3 letters, ETS, to the number 26786. Do it now, right in your phone. They're going to send you information, no obligation. Don't want to get involved with your accountant or your brother-in-law who's ever doing your taxes. You do them, but before you file them, just send them Julio's team, Engineered Tax Services. This is tax literacy for MAGA. And if they find you additional savings or additional deductions, they simply take up to 5 to 10% of it. And that's it. So you have nothing to lose. Send it to them. See if there's something you missed. Happens all the time. You can save money. They just get a percentage. Nothing to lose. All you have to do is text 3 letters, ETS, Engineer Tax Services, to the number 26786, and you're good to go. Joining me now, State Senator Gary Byrne. Gary, thanks for being with us.
Hey, glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, Gary, you want to speak up just a little
Sure.
bit to your mic. So, Gary, we're here. We're going to be here through Friday. Looks like the vote for the redistricting is going to get out of the House this afternoon. What do you see from there, Indiana Senator Gary Burns?
Well, I believe we'll actually have seen the map, so I think that's a big thing that some of the senators has been sort of holding back on maybe supporting it because they've not seen the map. So I think once we get it over in the Senate, I think we may see some people move. That's what I'm hoping for.
So, a lot of our audience nationally doesn't understand Indiana nice, right? I know you're very nice, so we kind of get that. We just had one of our listeners on, Jimmy Starr from Indianapolis. He's very nice. But you look at the makeup of the state Senate, and it's 40 to 10 Republicans. So it's hard for people that don't live here to say, well, if you've got a 30 vote margin and you only need 25 votes, why are we even here? Like, why is this even open for discussion? Give us the dynamics that has caused the consternation within the upper chamber.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I think that I've sort of seen some of these senators that's sort of been on the other side of the fence is they really thought it was breaking rules to do this. They said they took an oath to follow the Constitution. So did I. And trying to convince them, hey, this is constitutional. Our states, the founding fathers gave the states this power. And, we see the Democrat states using it. And I'm not sure, we want to be nice. And I think the other argument they've got is if we ever lose control, then the Democrats, will do it to us then. Well, they're going to do it regardless, I believe, if they had the power. So, we just need to step up.
They do it tomorrow if they had the power.
Absolutely.
You would go from 9 to 2, basically 5-5 or 5-6. I mean, you look at what they're doing in Virginia. I mean, they're gerrymandering a 6-5 state that votes, even on a bad day, 45% Republican. It's 6-5 Democrats, and they're jamming through a 10-1 map that is going to pass.
Yeah, and I thought we would have more movement, and I think it is when we start seeing California, go back for the Proposition 50 and going to gerrymander their map some more. I thought we'd get some more movement. I think eventually we will. My biggest thing is let's do this vote in the public, and I think we'll probably see some more, come our way.
So, what do you expect today in the House? What type of a margin of victory?
Pretty close, I think, to how they've been voting already. I think most of I thought it was at 65 or I'm not really following it.
65, 35.
Yeah, I think we'll probably still see that.
Right. Republicans have a 70 to 30 vote margin in the Indiana State House. The votes have been about 65, 35. It might go 66, 67 when this thing gets done. But that's a pretty big majority. When then Mike Gaskin, who's the chairman of the Elections Committee, puts it on the docket. That's a pretty big margin.
Yeah, and I think we'll have the votes definitely to get out of committee, to get it to seconds, and I think once the process moves and if we can get it to the floor, I think we'll hopefully get this done for not just for Indiana, but it's to save our country. That's the whole thing. This is bigger than Indiana. We need to do our part to save our country.
We're with State Senator Indiana, Gary Byrne. Anderson? No, where are you from?
I'm actually from Byrneville.
Byrneville.
Yeah,
Gary Byrne from Byrneville.
Yeah, the rest of the senators are jealous because, I have a little town. It's not big. It's not much of a town, but that's what assigned to my Senate name.
All right, yeah. Gary Byrne from Byrneville. So we've heard some talk, and I'll get into this with others that come on, Lieutenant Governor, et cetera. But we've heard some talk that that your Senate Majority Leader Rod Bray is going to try to run the clock out and maybe try to extend this and not get a vote on Friday, but then your special session ends. Like how parliamentary? How could he do that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would be surprised if that happens. I think Senator Bray's probably seeing that we do have movement, and he'll do what the caucus, steers him to do. So
I thought for your governor, who was on our show yesterday, to call for this special session after you initially rejected it in the state Senate. I thought that was a pretty ballsy move.
Yeah, and I think maybe some thought it was over when that took place. I felt
we all thought it was over.
Yeah, well, I felt in my gut it wasn't because I thought the pressure from outside Indiana would probably step up, and of course the governor. I've been on board. I was actually the first legislator in the whole state to come out in support of it, and there wasn't many after that for a good while. And I think after people started realizing what the other states are doing, the other Democrat states is doing, that we do need to do this. So,
Gary, what is it, Gary Byrne, State Senator in Indiana? You were one of the first senators to come out in favor of this redistricting effort. Why?
Well, I mean, it was a simple. Our founding fathers gave us this power. They wanted the states to have more power over what's going on in D.C. And sadly, we gave one of those powers up when 17th Amendment, the State House used to pick our U.S. senators, and we lost a lot of state powers when that took place. And the other one was drawing these congressional maps. They gave it to the states to decide how they wanted to do it. And, this doing it in the middle of the decade doesn't bother me at all. Our state constitution allows us to do it. We make that rule. We need to use that power. And again, it's bigger than Indiana. We need to do this to save our country.
Well, the interesting thing of it, the midterms are going to be close. I think we need to take the gloves off. That's why I'm in favor of your effort for redistricting. And when you look at what they did in California and you look at what they're doing in Virginia is incredible. I mean, they jammed through a special session. Maybe it fails because it was technically not an intervening election, but it's going to go to referendum in April. And they're going to take a 6-5 state to 10-1. And then you look at like some of these New England states. We got 6 New England states. If you added them up, the last 2 decades, Republicans represent about 45% of the vote. You know how many Democratic congresspeople there are?
Probably zero.
Right. So they have no compunction to just gerrymander themselves.
Yeah.
And now that Wes Moore in the People's Republic of Maryland, there's one lonely congressperson there, Andy Harris in the Eastern Shore, and he's going to bring all the Baltimore votes down there, string it down, so they get rid of him. So, and they don't even apologize for it. Like they don't go through what you guys are doing. They just do it. So I think got to fight fire with fire.
Yeah. Well, and our phones has been lit up. Mostly no coming in, but when you go to looking at that, which I've sort of last 40 calls I've got, I went down and I've looked, and they're all Democrats calling in. So I don't know why we're concerned about these calls that come in.
They're not voting for you anyway.
No, right. And then, there was a couple of people, Republicans, and I called them up. And one of them, once you tell the story of, why we're doing this, oh, yeah, we're on board now. I mean, it's a very easy sell for our base. And if you look at it, our base in the state, the majority of the Republican base supports this. And then I always look at it, the majority of the Democrat base supports it too, in the Democrat states. So that's another argument for us to do this.
It is what it is.
Right.
Okay, we're going to get more with Gary Byrne. We got to go to the top of the hour. We're going to be right back. We're going to ask him what his constituents are saying about affordability in rural Indiana. We're going to be right back. Stay with us live on the Trump Bus in the sports center of the universe, Indianapolis, Indiana. We'll be right back. We're here right outside the state capitol in Indianapolis. And we're here right through Friday when we are trying to get 5 more state senators that are Republicans to vote for the redistricting bill to get to 25. And then Micah Beckwith, the lieutenant governor, who'll be with us at 9:30, will then break the tie. Yay. And then we pick up 2 seats that could save America. So it's kind of where we are right now. Got a couple more minutes with state senator from Southern Indiana, rural Indiana, Gary Byrne. Senator, thanks for being with us. Gary has been an advocate, a very forceful advocate of this redistricting for some time, and want to thank him for that. But Gary, I want to talk just a second about rural Indiana, which you represent, and what your constituents are saying about affordability, the economy, how they're feeling about things. Just give us an overall take on Southern Indiana, what your constituents are saying.
Yeah, so, I think, we'd like to see prices go down a little more. I mean, we got our gas prices down pretty reasonable right now. And, I think that's because of President Trump's policies helping that. But, with the 4 years of the Biden administration that just took off the inflation, you can't steer that ship, just in a U-turn. And it's going to take some time. And I think most reasonable people would realize that, that's the fact. And but I do hear a lot of rumbling, more so from the Democrats, talking about, high prices of energy and, high prices of health care and all that. And then, it's very easy for me to say, well, okay, that was called Obamacare, and it was called the Affordable Inflation Act that took a war on energy and went after natural gas, and Trump's reversing some of those, and you can't just change it on at the drop of whatever the saying is. You can't just change it that quickly. But anyway, it's very easy to say, I think we're heading the right direction, and it's going to take a little bit of time. I mean, I think we've got the greatest president probably in my lifetime out, fighting for us, and we need to fight at every level to help him. And that's the reason why I'm very supportive of this redistricting.
Well, I agree with your assessment on the Obamacare debacle, and I'm in favor of just extending the subsidies until we figure this out, because you're right. It doesn't matter how we got here. If somebody's paying $450 for a family of 5, and then on December 31st, they get a bit bill for $980. They don't really care how it got there. All they know is they don't have $980. And
then the other one is like the housing, cost of housing is way up. And, well, it's because maybe we had all these illegal immigrants here, in those housing, and maybe when some of that goes away, maybe housing would be more affordable.
All right, I know you got to take off. I want to thank State Senator from Southern Indiana from the town of Byrne, right? Was it Byrne?
Byrneville.
Byrneville. Gary Byrne from Byrneville. Well, what?
Yep, my ancestors pioneered the area in 1806 before we was a state, and they migrated from North Carolina. Their father fought in the Revolutionary War. These brothers fought in the Battle of Tippecanoe. So, I love history and especially the genealogy of my family, looking back at what's happened. So, but they plotted this little area called Byrneville, and I live on the farm that they migrated to and are buried on. So it's
Gary Byrne from Byrneville. And when I had the governor on, Mike Ronnie was leaving, and I said, hey, what state senator should I get on? First thing he said, Gary Byrne. I'm like, all right, send me his number. Yeah. So I called you last night. So thanks for putting this together.
Glad to do it. Yeah, all right. Pleasure.
All right, Gary Byrne. Thanks for being with us, Gary. Thank you.